All right, guys, today we're going to take a look at this guy. This is a multi-lock padlock. Very nice lock. This was sent in by Richard & Sons to see if I could get it picked, but I really like these. I used to have one. I loaned it to somebody. I can't remember who, though, but stainless steel body, boron shackle. You have these shackle guards on here, and it is a multi-lock core, which is replaceable. So really, really cool, very tough locks. The keys themselves, for you guys who haven't seen these before, this one's a little bit strange. This looks like it's hard to tell. If you count each of the positions, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 pins. But if you look closely at these pins, you can see that there's actually a cut on the middle for the inner pin, and there's a different depth cut on the outer pin for each of these. So it's actually I want to say a 10 pinner, but this one's actually 9. Each of these are 2 pins, so that center pin is cut a little higher than the outer pin on that one. But this one doesn't look normal, and that's because it's a 2-sided key, so you have 2 of these things called interactive elements. Now, if I push my finger on the bottom, you can see that thing is kind of free-floating. It'll find the right depth when it hits the pin, but that's kind of Multi-lock's way of key control. Make sure you buy it from, buy your blanks from an authorized dealer rather than, some guy on eBay. There's one on this side as well. That's actually the bottom. When you flip it over, you can see that it goes to that side. So 2 sides, 2 interactive elements, both cut to the exact same depth. So pretty tough. This is really good bitting too. I don't have any clue what that one is, but these 2 are cut almost to the absolute lowest possible cut. I call these gatekeepers because it's impossible. Well, hopefully not impossible, but it's difficult to reach these really high-cut pins in the back without oversetting these very, very low-cut gatekeepers up there in the front of that lock. So anyway, because this is dual pin, inner and outer pin, I like to pick the outer pins first, and then what will happen is those inner pins are so much thinner, the lock it'll actually turn a little bit and give you a very, very extreme fault set. And for that reason, the outer pins many times are also security pins. I don't know if that's what we have here. Maybe not. This is a little bit older, but I'm going to clamp it in the vise, and then I'm going to mark it with a magic marker. So if we have security pin outer pins and we get a fault set, you'll see it, and it'll also be very apparent when we hit those inner pins because we'll get that super extreme fault set telling us that we're almost open. And then, since it's a replaceable core, maybe we'll gut this thing. Let me clamp it up. Be right back. All right, guys, let me go ahead and open this up. While I was looking at the key, I noticed we have a phone number here, 972 is the area code. That's Dallas, Texas. So wherever Richard and them got this from, it was somewhere probably in and around Dallas, Texas. All right, rotate 90 degrees. Lock opens. Let's lock it back up. And I think I've got this thing centered. I hope we can maybe keep this thing focused. Fingers crossed. And let's see what we got here. I am going to try this guy. This is from the, it's actually designed for multi-lock. So let's give it a shot. It's called the Sauber, S-A-U-B-E-R. I'm sorry, S-O-U-B-E-R. All right, here's like pin 3. A tiny click. Pin 4, tiny click. I heard something fall. Okay, that was pin 5. Again, very tiny click. This thing's not very verbal. Okay, I don't know if you saw that, but I have a very slight fault set. I felt it in my tension wrench, but looking at those marks, you really can't tell. That was pin 1. Again, I felt a click and a very tiny turn. I even hesitate to call that a fault set. I'm going to apply a little more tension on the tension wrench because nothing seems to be binding. So I'm going to force something to bind. I hope. There we go, pin 4. Well, I might have overset him. All right, let's try a little trick. I could let go and reset and start over, but before I do that, I'm actually going to take the end of my pick and be twirling them like that, causing that tip to just bounce up and down. I'm going to lighten up on the tensioner, because if I've overset something, my hope is to bring him back down. Sometimes this works with these locks. Sometimes you end up getting your pick stuck, which, yeah, not a good thing. It's a risk, but... Okay, there's something down right there. Something popped back down. Nope. Okay, that was pin 5. We do now definitely have a fault set, so that little jiggle trick, I guess, worked. Either that or I had not set 5 far enough. I'm not really sure which. We do have a fault set, but it's not what I would consider there we go. It's not the inner pin. Instead, I was going to say it's probably a spool on the outer pin, and there it is. It appears to be pin 4. I'm getting very slight counter rotation. You see that? That's all you can expect from one of these multi-locks. So I'm going to try to get centered on the outer pin and not the inner pin. I don't want to overset that inner pin. Apply a little pressure and then just kind of jiggle him and hope that I can get him in place. All right, I lost the fault set. I think I picked that spool, but I'm back to very light tension. Okay, we got our fault set back. Okay, I have a counter rotation there on pin 2. And pin 2 is the interactive pin, which is kind of unusual. And now we have a super deep fault set. So now we are definitely caught up on one of the inner pins. So we've got 4 inner pins to worry about. The interactive one does not have an inner pin. So let's see if we can... Now on the inner pin, the springs are much smaller, much weaker. So you want to really relax on your tensioner. If you get overexcited and keep the same tension, you're never going to find it. So lighten up on your tension. And let's just see if we can find that inner pin. Okay, first pass, I didn't find him. He may be very deep. I may have to pull out a hooked. I felt a little counter rotation there. That's pin 1. I'm trying to take the tip of it and push it up in there to get that inner pin. He seems like he wants to be picked, but maybe not. That's definitely counter rotation right in there. So let's get centered. Come on. And there we go. All right, come out of there, you. Let us go ahead and gut this guy. I am going to pull this camera back a little bit. Hopefully some of that stayed focused for you, and hopefully you picked up a couple of tips. Let's see if we can open this guy up. Let's go ahead and because it's rotated, you can see the pins have now popped up into the bottom of the keyway. So I've got to push those back out of the way. I'll just take a pick and push them down, hopefully, and rotate it around. Oh, we're open. Let me close it back up. Now we'll try to push them down, rotate it. Okay, now we can use the key to open it. And what do I need? Phillips. Okay, there's our multi-pick. Core, it looks like it was manufactured, not cut off and threaded. It's the way it came from the factory. We have a circlip on there. Let me take that key out. Let me get a board over here. Let me shove all this stuff out of the way. We will need that. We won't need that. Won't need that. Okay, circlip puller from Sparrows. And sometimes I have luck with these, and sometimes I do not. And this might be one of those times I do not. The angle just doesn't, never seemed to work out for me. This one did, though. Check it out. Whoa. Almost lost that dude. All right, let's rotate this. The pins are going to be on the top. And I am not going to rotate it quite all the way because I don't want the pins falling down into that crevice with the key, into the keyway. So I believe our pins are going to be located on that side. I think we can pull it out just like that. Let's give it a shot. Ah, there's our pins falling out the other side, Bill. All right, what do we got? I have no idea which one went. You know, there had to be a gutting disaster. It was guaranteed. Yeah. We can try to fit him back in there. That's probably not where he went. Let's just throw him down. We'll figure it out later. Okay, we got a... That one still has the inner pin in it. I'm just going to lay him there for the heck of it. Put him right there with his inner pin. That one, that was actually probably the right cut on pin 1. But I'm going to dump him right here. Number 4. Number 5. I see no spools, guys. You can see the interactive core down there in position number 2. Come out. Come out. What is holding you in here? It's got to be that interactive pin. Yeah, he doesn't want to come out. Something's pushing him up from the bottom. So what I'm going to do, take the probe, push that pin down, line everything back up. Then we can get him out. And in the bottom you can see there's a spring-loaded... Good gravy. Does nothing around here work? You can see a spring-loaded plunger in position 2. I think if I put it in this way, might be a little easier to see. And that's what pushes that interactive pin up to the correct height against the cut pin. Nothing else in here that's unusual. Let's take a look upstairs. There has to be at least 2 spool pins. And yes, I am going to get it back together. It's not a total disaster just yet. All right, we have a standard. There's our spool. There's another standard. Okay, we're looking at pin 5 popping out now. Another standard. And spring. And the last one. There's our other spool. I knew there had to be one more spool in there. There's what your spool looks like. Not super deep. And that explains why the counter rotation is really not very much. Not a lot of signal, so you've really got to pay attention when you come up against one of those guys. And nothing less but another spring in there. Anyway, guys, there you go. I'm going to put this back together. Richard & Sons, I appreciate you guys sending this in. Looks like all standards except 2 spools as drivers. Yeah, what a mess. What a mess. Anyway, guys, appreciate your time. Stay safe, stay legal. You know, I need to start rehearsing these things and doing a couple of practice teardowns like some of the other lock pickers out there. That way it won't be so messy. Thanks, guys.